The fate of the Iranian nuclear program and its highly enriched uranium inventory remain the key obstacles in negotiations with the U.S. Washington and Tehran remain deadlocked over Iran's nuclear program and its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Iran has insisted that continuing its nuclear program is its sovereign right, while the U.S. maintains that the program must be abandoned for good and the uranium surrendered. RT looks into the status of Iran's uranium stockpile as well as the positions of Tehran and Washington on the issue as the temporary ceasefire nears its end. How much uranium does Iran have? Iran has a sizable stockpile of fissile materials, including uranium enriched up to 60%. While the material is not yet weapons grade, it could potentially be enriched to that level in a matter of days, depending on the equipment used. Tehran has long maintained its nuclear. According to the latest comprehensive assessment from the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, published in May 2025, Tehran possessed more than 400 kilograms of uranium enriched up to 60%, as well as nearly 300 kilograms enriched up to 20%. Apart from that, the country was believed to hold some 5.5 tons of uranium enriched up to 5%, as well as some 2.2 tons up to 2%. Where exactly is the Iranian stockpile? The whereabouts and status of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile are debated, and no solid independent assessment of them is available. The IAEA said it had lost continuity of knowledge about the stash after Tehran turned off on-site cameras used to monitor its nuclear program in June 2022 in retaliation for what it called a political resolution adopted by the organization. In its May 2025 assessment, the organization admitted the knowledge gap was no longer bridgeable. According to U.S. claims, Iran's nuclear dust, as U.S. President Donald Trump has described it, remains buried at the nuclear facilities bombed by the U.S. in June 2025. At the time, the U.S. attacked sites in Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, striking underground facilities with bunker buster bombs and Tomahawk missiles. While Trump claimed the key uranium enrichment facilities ended up completely and totally obliterated, a July 2025 Pentagon assessment suggested the country's nuclear program had only been. A recent report by Le Monde suggested that Iran could have transferred possibly all of its highly enriched uranium to the Isfahan underground facility shortly before the June 2025 strikes. The assessment is based on a satellite image taken on June 9, 2025, which shows a large flatbed truck packed with 18 blue containers, which experts believe to be consistent with caskets used to transport highly radioactive materials. The containers could hold up to 540 kilograms of uranium, according to experts cited by the newspaper. After the strikes, Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth insisted that no intelligence suggested Iran had moved any of its highly enriched uranium prior to the attacks. The polar positions of the U.S. and Iran on the uranium. The issue of the uranium has remained a key obstacle to an agreement between the U.S. and Iran. Washington has demanded that Tehran surrender all of its highly enriched uranium, as well as dismantle its infrastructure and abandon the nuclear program for good. During the recent talks between Iran and the U.S. in Islamabad, which concluded without any breakthrough, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly proposed a 20-year ban on Tehran pursuing its nuclear program. Tehran has repeatedly refused to abandon its nuclear program, offering to dilute its highly enriched uranium stockpile instead. During the discussions in Islamabad, it also reportedly offered a 5-year moratorium on uranium enrichment. Top Iranian officials have repeatedly rejected the idea of surrendering the stockpile to the U.S. or any other third party, insisting that the country's nuclear achievements and assets were a matter of national pride and non-negotiable. The stance was reiterated by Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai during a press conference on Monday. Transferring the country's enriched uranium abroad has never been raised as an option for us in negotiations, Baghai stated. Russian offer. Moscow has on several occasions proposed to host Iran's enriched uranium as a compromise to defuse the Middle East crisis. According to remarks made by Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov described the plan as a very good solution, but said it had been firmly rejected by Washington. Russian officials have signaled that the offer remains on the table. The head of Russian state nuclear corporation Rosatom, Alexei Likachev, said over the weekend the company was ready to help remove Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. Only Russia has positive experience interacting with Iran. In 2015, at Iran's request, we already removed enriched uranium. We are ready to assist with this issue today as well, Likachev told corporate newspaper Strana Rosatom. Iran exported some 11 tons of low-enriched uranium to Russia under the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, popularly known as the Iran Nuclear Deal, a 2015 multinational plan to limit Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. The scheme crumbled early in Trump's first term, after U.S. President Donald Trump has outlined his preferred options for disposing of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile as negotiators meet for high-stakes talks in Qatar. The U.S. has demanded that Iran completely dismantle its nuclear program, while Tehran insists that uranium enrichment is its sovereign right. Iranian officials have denied seeking to develop nuclear weapons. The enriched uranium, nuclear dust, will either be immediately turned over to the United States to be brought home and destroyed, or preferably in conjunction and coordination with the Islamic Republic of Iran, destroyed in place or at another acceptable location, with the Atomic Energy Commission or its equivalent witnessing this process and event, Trump wrote on Truth Social on Monday evening. On Sunday, CBS News, citing a senior U.S. official, had indicated that Iran had agreed in principle to dispose of its enriched uranium. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Bakai, however, said on Monday that the negotiations were The sides are expected to discuss reopening the Strait of Hormuz and potentially unfreezing Iranian assets. According to media reports, the two sides are close to extending the truce announced on April 8th by another 60 days. Axios and Al Arabiya reported that the draft agreement to be discussed in Doha includes a commitment to negotiate the fate of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile over a 60-day period. Iran's top negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, said on Friday that Iran would not compromise on its rights as a sovereign nation. Iranian officials said ahead of the talks that the U.S. needed to rebuild trust after launching airstrikes on Iran in late February, shortly after a round of Omani-mediated negotiations.